Before you tip, learn these essential gratuity guidelines no one tells you about. You will thank me later. Just one of these recommendations could save you a significant amount of money. Don't miss out on this little known bit of advice about handling gratuities that could smooth the whole process and make it less painful on you and your wallet. So first off, understand the basics of cruise gratuities. Cruise gratuities, roughly $14 to $20 per person per day. It gets added to your stateroom unless you prepay them. If you want, you can prepay them when you pay the cost of the cruise. If you don't, it's added to your account daily while you're on board. For most cruise lines, it includes wait staff, housekeeping, and most of the other cruise members. Most cruise lines do automatically add that daily gratuity charge to your onboard account, which you have to settle up by the end of the week. These charges can be adjusted at guest services, so you can remove them if you want. You do have to go to guest services and let them know that you want the daily gratuity charge removed from your account. This $14 to $20 a day is split amongst, it depends on the cruise line, because some cruise lines it's only for lack of a better term, back of house crew members, people you don't see. So not your wait staff, not your bartenders, okay? Some cruise lines, it's shared amongst the entire crew each and every week at the end of the cruise. It's added to their paycheck kind of thing. Some cruise lines put it all into a big pool for every crew member of every ship in the fleet, and then that's dispersed in their regular weekly paychecks. They're all different, how they handle it, how much they charge, what they do with it. But arguably, this might not be very popular, but it enables the cruise line to not pay their employees as much because they're making up for it with gratuities. Personally, I'd rather they paid their crew members a living wage and just added that to the cost of the cruise, since you're paying it anyway. But my opinion. Next up, know when gratuities are included. Some all-inclusive cruise packages do include the gratuities in the overall cost. Luxury cruise lines often have the gratuities included, but it's best to verify that. You don't want to be surprised when you spent 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 grand for a cruise and you get on board and they start adding that gratuity to your room charge. Special promotions, some of the sales and deals may occasionally cover gratuities, but most of the time they do not. That's how they can afford to, or that's how they can advertise $299 per person for a 7-night cruise. Well, we all know that that's not all, but anyway. So, keep an eye out, check the details. As I mentioned, daily gratuity rates are roughly $14 to $20 per person per day on the mainstream cruise lines. Every ship has, not every ship, every cruise line has different rates. So check that out before you book a cruise. Suites, often their gratuity rate is higher. I've seen upwards of $30 a day per person for suites, but you also get much better care. So children usually have a reduced gratuity rate or none at all, depending upon the cruise line, the age of the children, yada, yada, yada. Tipping for exceptional service. Consider giving additional cash tips for outstanding service. Cabin stewards, bartenders, dining room staff, they can warrant extra tips. It depends on their service. My wife and I, when we cruise, we tend to give $5 to $10 per day for our room steward, depending upon his or her level of attentiveness, their personality, the way they take care of us. We also tend to tip varying amounts to our bartenders. So a lot of times if we find a bartender on the first day or two of a cruise that goes above and beyond, we'll give them $10 or $20 right then and there, that first or second day. What that does is, it lets them know that they're appreciated, and two, it ensures that anytime that bartender sees my wife or I coming from across the ship, by the time we get to his bar, the drink will be ready and he'll greet us by name. And then we usually give him another tip at the end of the trip too. So this next recommendation could help you save a significant amount on your next cruise. Be aware of specialty dining and spa service gratuity policies. So when you go to a specialty dining restaurant or you book spa services, a lot of times those extras have a gratuity, an 18 to 20% gratuity built into the cost. So if you're going to the steakhouse for dinner and it's costing you $59 per person, ask the question, read the fine print, see if that includes a gratuity, because you don't want to get there and feel obligated to tip another 10 or 20% if they're already getting that. Now, if they do an amazing job and you're blown away by their personality and how attentive they are, go ahead, feel free, give them another 10 or 20 or $30. But keep an eye on that bill. Look at that bill. Ask the question beforehand. Spa services, same thing. If you're booking a couple's massage and that couple's massage is $300, does that include 20% gratuity, 18% gratuity? If it does, then you don't have to worry about it. If it doesn't, and they did an amazing job, you are going to feel about that big when you realize you never tipped them. Read the fine print. Ask the question. If you can't read the fine print, or if there is, there's nothing for you to read, ask the question before you make that purchase. Onboard purchases and beverage packages. A lot of times, beverage packages include a gratuity. Ask the question. Read again, it's just like specialty dining. Look at your receipts. Pretty much they all give you receipts, at least on that first day or two. I'm already beating a dead horse. All right. Port and shore excursion tips. You're doing a tour of the island or you're doing a party bus. A lot of times the bus driver and the tour guide aren't getting paid, or they're only paid on your tips. So don't hesitate if you're blown away by that tour guide and how great she was or he was, or if the bus driver did an amazing job with a nice smooth ride, you didn't spill your drink once, throw them $5 a person, $10 a person. A lot of the Caribbean countries in particularly, they don't get paid, so their entire livelihood is based on those tips. So here's a little known bit of advice about handling gratuities that could make a big difference in your overall cruise experience. If you're traveling as part of a large group, family reunion, destination wedding, those kinds of things, consider pooling your tips because they will have a much larger impact. Large groups might receive additional attention because it's a large group. So be generous with that tip. Discuss your tipping strategies with that group just so that you're all consistent. You don't want Grandpa Bill throwing a dollar bill each time he goes and gets a coffee if you're all planning to get together and give your dining staff, I don't know, $500 at the end of the trip because of the amazing job they tipped. Tipping throughout the cruise. So spread out your tips throughout the cruise instead of waiting until that last day. As I mentioned earlier with the bar staff, the same thing with your room attendant, the same thing with your dining room staff. After the first couple of days, give them, half of the tip that they're going to get. If you're going to tip $5 per person per day, and so $10 a day for you and your significant other, 7-night cruise, so $70. Give them $30 on Tuesday. Let them know that they're doing a great job. Let them know how appreciative you are, and give it to them because they're not expecting it then. They're trained to graciously accept the tip or lack of tip on that last night. Give them to them ahead of time. Let them know that you truly appreciate what they're doing for you. It's more special. Even if it's, you give them $70 total, so you give them $35 and $35. It's not about the amount. It's about the unusualness of it. It's about the uniqueness. Uniqueness, that's the right word. Because nobody does that. Everybody waits until the last day, and unfortunately half the people skip the dining room on the last day because they don't have to tip. But that's another story. Special requests. So you get on board and you need a mattress topper. You need a fan. You need extra pillows, extra towels, things like that. Extra services, which are above and beyond. Yes, the room attendant will do everything he or she can to accommodate you. If you slip them a $10 bill as you're asking them for 83 pillows, or a $20 bill when you need that fan, it goes a long way. It lets them know that you appreciate that, that this is not standard, it's not required, it's above and beyond, and that you get it, you understand. It helps ensure that your specific requirements are met diligently throughout the cruise. Doesn't mean you get to be an SOB for the entire cruise just because you gave the guy an extra $10. But if there are special requirements that you have, he or she will be more likely to bend over backwards to help you. So now that you know exactly how, when, and where to tip appropriately, you're going to want to know how to ensure that your cruise excursions are nothing short of amazing.